What's up, y'all? It's the Dr. Investor back again with another video. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about real estate investing, personal finance, personal growth, and entrepreneurship. So today's topic, I'm going to be talking about something very important. These are the key considerations you should take into account when purchasing a rental property. So stay tuned for the topic. You know what to do before I get into it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'll be right back with this fire topic. Because rental properties are typically hundreds and thousands of dollars, you need to be very diligent in how you spend your money and where you spend your money. Some people just get so anxious and just buy anything. There's so many calculators out there. There's so many articles out there. But I'm about to give you guys the real of what to do, what factors, what considerations you need to take into account when purchasing that rental property. Like they say all the time, location, location, location. It does not matter if you have the very best amenities in your property. If you purchase a property in a bad neighborhood, you are going to attract tenants that are okay with living in a bad neighborhood. So make sure when you're purchasing your rental property that you're purchasing a property in a good neighborhood. A big part of being successful in real estate investing is making sure you can attract quality tenants. And where do quality tenants want to live? They want to live in desirable, great neighborhoods. That's another reason why where you buy your rental property is very important. So here are some qualities of desirable neighborhoods. Desirable neighborhoods typically have low crime rates. They have access to great schools, great parks, fresh grocery stores, shopping centers nearby, access to public transportation, access to nearby police and fire stations. These are some of the things that individuals are looking for when searching for great properties in great neighborhoods. So how do you find out what is a desirable location? It's important to go to city planning meetings because here you'll get to know developments that are coming to neighborhoods within that city. It's also important to look at market trends and surrounding areas you're interested in investing in. And lastly, once you've narrowed down your list, go to that area, walk around. When you go on home showings, walk around that neighborhood. Go to that neighborhood at night. Are people walking their dogs? Is there a lot of noise in that area? So these are some of the factors you need to consider when determining what is a great location. Of course, price-wise, that's a good way to determine it. But to find these properties in great neighborhoods that are appreciating, that are in the path of progress, you will have to do some groundwork and do some research as well. Businesses are in to make a profit. They want to be in areas where they can be successful. So typically they're going to be in neighborhoods where they see themselves being successful in. And if a business such as, let's say, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Walmart thinks they'll be successful there, typically that's a safe bet as a real estate investor that you'll also be successful there as well if you purchase a property there. I personally prefer to purchase properties that are in the path of progress. These are not properties that are A+ properties in the very best neighborhoods you can find in the area. These are properties that are typically in B-, B neighborhoods, maybe C+, but they're in the path of progress, meaning they haven't reached their full potential of what they can be. And I do a lot of market research to see which neighborhoods these are, which neighborhoods that economic development's coming towards, because with economic development that also leads to appreciation of the property, and these properties in the path of progress have the most potential for appreciation. And with real estate, you make most of your money with appreciation. These properties in better neighborhoods are typically more expensive. So if you're not in this position, I would consider saving up or partnering with somebody that can bring more money to the table. Because with this better location, what you gain is more appreciation of the property, which in the long term is how you're going to get wealthy. You also are able to attract better quality tenants because these are where great quality tenants want to live. They want to live in a great neighborhood with all these amenities and qualities I mentioned prior. The second consideration you need to take into account is what can you afford when purchasing a rental property. Of course, you want to buy the best possible property in the best possible location, but if you cannot afford that property, then you're basically out of the game. So it's important that you approach lenders with your financial condition, and they'll let you know what you can afford. And if you can only afford a property that is in a low income area, I would suggest partnering with somebody, or just maybe waiting on the sidelines for a year or two until you're able to save enough money to buy a property. And because once you buy a property, you are essentially stuck with it until you sell that property. And I can let you know there's many headaches when you buy properties in low-income areas. It's very hard to attract quality tenants when you buy properties in low-income areas. So my next consideration that I want you all to consider when purchasing a real estate property is what can you afford? So it's important to go to your local bank or lender and for them to do a financial analysis to see how much they're willing to lend. The next consideration that you have to take into account when purchasing your rental property is the physical condition of the property. So sometimes you can gauge what the physical condition is based on the listing pictures, but typically you can't get the full picture until you actually do a showing and see the property. For this reason, you need construction expertise on your team. It either has to be you, your partner, or you could be touring the house with a potential contractor that will be doing the rehab of this property. The reason why it's important that you have a good gauge of what the physical condition is because this will determine what your rehab costs and what your renovation costs will be for this property. You don't want to go purchase this property and there'll be $20,000 in rehabs in order to get this property into a high quality condition, where in fact it's actually going to cost you $100,000. You see how these are two very different scenarios and can essentially make what you thought would be a good deal a bad deal for you. So it's very important that you understand what the rehab costs will be for this property based on its physical condition. Another way to determine what the physical condition of the home is and how much the renovation cost will be, when you do this home inspection, it's important you have a home inspector that understands what construction cost is. This way, they'll be able to tell you what needs to be replaced and about how much it will cost. I found this to be very helpful when I'm looking at properties, and it helps me determine if I should close on a property or not, because like I mentioned before, you don't want to be sucked into property for tens of thousands of dollars more than you expected because you did not do the due diligence in determining what the actual cost it would be to renovate this property. Typically, properties that keep costing you money because they have to continually be renovated, accumulating tens of thousands of dollars of costs, are what I call money sucks. They just suck all the money out of you, and you do not want to be stuck with the money suck of a property. And if you clearly understand about how much it will cost to renovate this property, you can negotiate this when purchasing the property. You can go to the seller and let them know it's going to cost me about $40,000 to renovate this property. So in this case, can you give me a discount on your listed price, because I'm going to have to be paying $40,000 to my contractors to renovate this property. The next consideration you have to take into account is how profitable you think this rental property will be. So in order to determine profitability, you have to run comps to see how much similar properties with similar bedrooms, bathrooms, and amenities are running for in your neighborhood. So once you can gauge how much rental income there will be, then you have to determine what the potential mortgage, property tax, and insurance will be for this property. This is called PMI. So rental income minus PMI, which is mortgage, property tax, and insurance, will give you how much cash flow you can expect to receive on a month-to-month basis. Like I mentioned before, when you purchase properties in these better neighborhoods, you can expect to have less cash flow. But that is made up for on the other side of having greater appreciation, also being able to attract better tenants, and also having tenants that are going to stay a long time, which at the end of the day is going to give you more income in the long run. You can run all these analyses, use all these calculators that you have, calculate your cash on cash return, your projected cash flow. There's a whole bunch of calculations that exist in real estate. But calculations do not matter if you have a high amount of turnover in your property. Turnover is when one tenant moves out and another tenant has to move in. This is very expensive and can cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. It can cost you 2 to 4 months of your rental income. But just because you don't have someone living in there, the mortgage company still inspects to get their payment of the mortgage, property tax, and insurance every month. So you're just paying the mortgage company all this money without receiving any income. So the missing piece of what is required for a successful real estate business is having great tenant landlord. The next key consideration you have to take into account is the rental demand for that specific property. As I mentioned before, you want to have tenants that stay a long time, and you want to have quality tenants living in your property, because your most expensive cost as a landlord will be turnover, which is when one tenant moves out and another tenant has to move in. It doesn't matter what calculations you did for that rental property. It could have great cash on cash return, can have great cash flow. But if you have a high amount of turnover of that property, that's essentially going to wipe out all your profit for that rental property. So you want to make sure you have a property that is in high rental demand and that can attract high quality tenants. And not only high quality tenants, you want to attract high quality tenants that may stay a long time. Like I mentioned in my previous video, that stay a long time typically stay because they don't feel like that mix of what your property contains anywhere else. They don't think they can get the schools, the property with great amenities, and the sense of community that they get from living in your property. Therefore, they stay a very long time. They stay 20 plus years, and that's my goal. I want tenants that are going to stay a long time. That's why I make sure I buy properties that are in high rental demand, that are in desirable locations, that high quality tenants want to live in. So that's a wrap. If you like this video, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And I'll be back again before you know it with another buyer video. If you know anybody that'll benefit from my content, make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe to my channel. The Dr. Investor is out.